There's not much to look at sitting in my son's treehouse staring at the wood wall. The trampoline in our yard is protecting the microphone from the rain that's falling. Do you hear the tapping of that rain hitting the trampoline? Oh, and the plane that just flew overhead? Today we're going to talk about the sounds that come from above. Welcome to Ultimate Sound Test, a podcast about how we experience sound, how we live with it, how we entertain ourselves with it, and how we create it. All the sounds you're going to hear on this podcast are presented in a three-dimensional space. This will mean you can turn around in the sound field. You can pan around with your finger or your mouse on the video, or you can move the device around if you're listening on a phone, and you should be able to hear the sound rotating around you. When you think about sounds that come from above, you usually think about things like rain, birds, airplanes, that sort of thing. When it comes to rain, the irony is that you really don't hear the rain until it hits something on the ground. Conveniently, the trampoline over our heads provides a nice surface for the rain to hit, reminding us where it's coming from. You can faintly hear the wind chimes in the background there. Thunder's unique. It's the sound of the air hitting itself, essentially. You can break it down into the peal, the crack, and the rumble. The first two are usually pretty easy to localize up above our heads. The rumble seems to propagate in every direction as it hits the ground. Let's take a break with a spatially mixed word from our sponsors. This episode was brought to you by
Emma's pies, so sweet, so delicious. They're the real deal.
They're the whole enchilada.
Wait, I thought we were selling pies.
Well, they're more like tarts.
Come down to Emma's Pies.
Sounds from above are a bit of a tricky thing. We have these areas called cones of confusion, which sounds a bit like a Kickstarter for a board game. We have trouble telling whether a sound is coming from, for example, above or below us, from in front or behind us. The fact that we have an ear on either side of our head means that we can use the time and level differences between the two to locate things. This works out great most of the time. Our houses, our cities, they're mostly on the horizontal plane. When a sound comes from one of these areas of confusion, it can travel a path where the level and time differences essentially don't change between our ears, making it difficult to tell exactly where it's coming from. Here's the sound of a plane flying overhead from front to back. It starts on the left and crosses over slightly to the right, but more or less it just goes straight overhead. Here's the same sound turned on its side, so now the plane will go from right to left in front of you. Aside from the weirdness of having the traffic shooting straight up into the air on the right-hand side, that was easier to track. For some of us, the plane probably still sounded like it was going over our heads. I'd attribute that to the brain. It hears airplane and figures it must be over your head. And since there's that area of confusion, it decides to just tell you that's where it is. It's useful to remember that our ears collect the sound waves, but our brain decides what they mean. Here's a recording of a dragon kite from a few episodes ago. I included it because it localizes so nicely overhead. This is one of my favorite new recordings. I just find it so relaxing. It's the sound of rain on a tin roof. My Renaissance tradesman brother-in-law from episode 1 of season 2, Making Virtual Lumber Real, came up to this cabin in northern Canada with us to put a new tin roof on it. I could sleep with this sound on a continuous loop. The best part is, none of those drips are happening inside the cabin. Thank you for listening to Ultimate Sound Test. We hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to comment below, give us a like, and subscribe to the channel for future updates. You can share us with your friends and colleagues using our YouTube handle @Ultimate Sound Test.